Hey there, Knicks fans. How you doing? It's your boy, Andrew Claudio, a.k.a. GMAC, here with the beginning of another Knicks Film School podcast, coming at you early on a Sunday morning in the most self-involved intro that you're ever going to hear from me. It's also, John's done this in the past, so I'm going to now take the opportunity to do the same. It's my fiance's birthday. Please put happy birthday, future Mrs. Claudio, in the YouTube comments. It would go a long way in earning me some brownie points. But the more important thing in your worlds, at least, is that it's the continuation of yet another cap or no cap, in which Jeremy so brilliantly lays out how the Knicks are most likely going to go about this offseason, or at least gives a suggestion as to a path they might pursue. And joining me to, I don't even know how to bring it up to date, the 2 episodes you're about to listen to or watch over the next 2 hours, is the one and only Mr. Capologist himself, Mr. Jeremy Cohen. Jeremy, how you doing? How's your weekend going?
It's going all right. You know, I'd say I wasn't expecting to get news about a Julius Randle surgery, but yeah, you know, I mean, I'd say the one thing I should say in terms of with all the cap or no caps, like, look, I'm not a fortune teller. I don't have the answers. I wish I had the answers. I just don't. But it's more going off of, okay, maybe this is something we know from the past. Maybe we can apply it forward. Maybe it works out. There's a, I don't want to say a slim chance that it works out, but in terms of like how I go about it, but at least there's, okay, if this is the idea, this is where they go from there. So we'll see if it happens that way. I'm sure some people might hope it does. I'm sure many people hope it doesn't. That's cool.
Did you receive? Oh, sorry. I thought my bad. Sorry to interrupt you, but like, did you receive pushback for the first 3 parts of this cap or no cap?
Not really, because I think people are still waiting to see the exact direction I'm going with it, and then I will receive death threats. But other than that, it'll be, for now, it's great. Next week, I'm a little concerned about.
To do a quick recap before we discuss quickly the Randle injury, but you basically laid out the different patterns that the Knicks have displayed in the first 3 or 4 years of this Leon Rose tenure. You pointed out the similarities to Utah and how they've built what they built in the mid to late 2010s with the Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Gordon Hayward, Mike Conley, that team that ended up during the pandemic shortened 72 win season, the one we call the We Here season, with the number 1 net rating, one of the best net ratings of all time, and one of the better put together teams. And then in the playoffs, we saw it come crashing down with some roster construction being an issue. But you laid it out that way, and then almost perfectly for part 3, kind of a half and half on the pros and cons of having Julius Randle and RJ Barrett on your team at the same time, which is a perfect transition into the really only current news to talk about. And it came out yesterday on Saturday that Julius Randle underwent arthroscopic surgery on his left ankle. He is expected to be ready for the New York Knicks training camp in the fall. First of all, my initial reaction to this, outside of the injury part, actually was the ready for training camp in the fall. So to anybody that's on the trade Randle side of things, whoever leaked this out is confident that he will be at New York Knicks training camp in the fall. So the hashtag trade 30 might want to get put on the back burner for a while. What was your reaction when you saw that he had surgery?
Certainly surprised. When obviously knew he was dealing with some sort of ankle injury, didn't think it would require the level of surgery. It doesn't have to be a big thing. Maybe it was more of a cleanup, but it was more the reaction to said surgery. Cause I felt as though it was, this is like, he was hurt. This is a problem. It impacted him. And then there was also of course, like, it doesn't matter because look at all of the dumb crap that he did and all the mental gaffes and everything that was problematic. And from my vantage point, it's why does it have to be one or the other? Why can't it be he was most likely limited by an ankle injury and also the same dumb plays he has made and the mental lapses he has had came out in full force when the Knicks needed him to reduce that entirely. So I don't think that he will adapt that much moving forward from the mental side. The physical side, Obviously, that is important because he relies so much on his athleticism and his explosiveness and his size and the ability to now play off the dribble. And, do you go under on him at any point? Do you let him shoot? Whatever it is. So I'm glad that he has it taken care of. I'm glad he'll be ready for training camp. Other than that, it's just like there's so little news that's how we are now creating discourse. And it's just like, again, it can just be he was hurt. And also he did stuff that he's been doing all year and it's been bad.
So my only real reaction to this, which somewhat echoes what you just said, as far as the discourse is concerned, people have kind of made up their minds on Randle. So I don't think this changes anyone's opinion. If you were out on him, this just like furthers your disdain for well, this is why you shouldn't have played every game. Well, if you were that hurt, then you shouldn't have played. And it's no excuse for the things that we saw. And there's some truth to that. And then if you tend to defend Randle more than others, then this is your get out of jail free card. That it's like he was playing with a bad ankle that needed arthroscopic surgery, hard word to say, in the off season. And there's some truth to that too. I think the reality of it is somewhere in the middle. And the Knicks, I think what we like to do here is it's less of like what we would do, and it's what the Knicks are going to do. I think the Knicks are taking it that our two-time All-Star, two-time All-NBA player got hurt with 5 games left, and then got hurt in the middle of game 5 of the first round and decided to play through it. And they're going to approach next season the same way. That I think is the most curious part for me. And I'll pin it back. I'll pitch it back over to you. Coming off of 2 bad ankles, seeing him kind of wear down toward the end of the season. Cause there was effort issues toward the end, and we just kind of shrugged it off. Was like, listen, he's playing all 82 games. He's the Iron Man of the NBA. You give him a pass for not playing as stellar a defense as we know he can every game, especially with the offensive workload that he's taken on. But now that we see the workload kind of lead to this, which I'm not saying load management didn't cause this, or that he landed on 2 ankles. Like, these were caused by poorly placed ankles by opponents. But do you think this changes their approach at all? I'm not saying Tibbs is going to find religion in that. Randle's going to have some random sit days on back-to-backs, but more as an organization that they decide, listen, he's coming off of an ankle surgery after 2 ankle injuries in the playoffs. The postseason is what matters next year, and potentially they may have some more firepower next season. Do you think this might change their approach with his need to play 82 games or not?
No. I would imagine everything will stay the same. It's very easy for them to say, yeah, he obviously was playing consistently, but if he hadn't gotten hurt, what would he have looked like? That I would imagine is their mindset. But in terms of, are you saying just assuming he's on the team or not on the team?
I think I'm assuming he's on the team, and it's more just the fact that because he's coming off an ankle surgery, does that change their approach in like he has to play every game? He has to. Because that's what it seemed like last year, that no matter how much he looked exhausted toward the end of the year, it was like, yeah, but there's a game on the schedule. They're going to play it. Now that there's an injury to consider, a surgery that just occurred, do you think that might change some things?
I think it also comes down to who's playing behind Julius Randle.
True.
Right? Like if Obi Toppin is still on the Knicks, then you have some leeway there. But if Obi's not, who do you have backing up Julius? How are you operating? Are you any different? Because we've talked about the usage with Julius versus someone like Obi, where one's really high and the other's moderately high. So how do you find someone to soak up those minutes that you'd be losing if you didn't have Julius playing as heavily and if Obi's not here? But again, I think they'll probably just stay consistent. Sounds like he'll be ready to go. So they won't change anything. He was 3rd team All NBA last year. That's how they see it. We can obviously talk about the difference between the regular season and the playoffs. Very relevant conversation, especially when it's hard not to look at it. Denver's not a great example, but there are multiple examples where a lot of the NBA champions over the last, really 10 years, you look at that 4 spot and they are mostly really sound to great defensive 4s or guys who can handle the 4 excellently. Like last year, obviously you have Draymond and Andrew Wiggins. You have Aaron Gordon this year. The Heat are a little different. they had Kevin Love. Kevin Love couldn't play defense. Now he's out of the rotation. The Celtics, obviously, Tatum, the Bucks and Giannis, you keep going through all these different teams. And it's so important to have defense at that spot. And when the Knicks have Julius, that's not what they have, which is why it's still a matter of, okay, passing the baton. Do you have someone who can take it from one player and then go with the other player? And then how does that move interact to Julius? We'll certainly see in the next couple seasons, I would imagine, but it's a crucial position to have defense at. And the ankle or no ankle, it's not what's limiting him on that end.
Ankle or no ankle. Well done.
I honestly didn't even do it that way. But,
well, unintentionally.
Well, you said done. Recap, and I hesitated for saying recap or no recap. So.
Recap or no recap, indeed.
Exactly.
Last question, because I heard you kind of hint at it. Do you put a percentage on it that Randle's on the team next year? I have it at like 95% that he's on the team. Am I way off on that?
The first number that came in my head was 90.
Okay, so we're not that far off then. There's like a 10% chance that they get blown away with an offer and then he's gone. Yes.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to say he's 100% back because they could easily surprise us. It's more just they don't like to see the bottom fall out at all. They want to keep ensuring that they go floor by floor, and it seems like it doesn't seem like it's consistent with what they'd be doing if they moved Randle. Now, if the right offer arises, then sure, go nuts. That's fine by me. Just don't know what that right offer is, and your mileage may vary by what each person thinks. Hey, that's a good offer for Julius. I'll take that as. So it's a challenge, and that's where the fun part comes in, where we get to debate. Okay, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? And we go from there.
And on that note, for those of you watching on YouTube, thank you, and stay tuned for the next episode, or I guess the next edition of this episode, which will be in your episode description. If you want, just click the link and go right there. For those of you listening, we're going to take a break. Shout out to our friends at Weiss and Rosenblum, and then the continuation of the latest Cap or No Cap by the one and only Jeremy Cohen.